Jackie Christie sits down to reveal something so shocking that fans are still in shock tonight in an exclusive bombshell disclosure. "I do not regret having a child before to marriage." When she said those, feelings were running hot. For words, producing a flurry of rumors, charges, and startling responses in family group chats. The family was split apart. Jackie's unrepentant attitude was embraced by her devoted followers. In a heartbreaking interaction, Jackie's sister broke down in tears and demanded to know why this historic news had been kept a secret for so long, despite detractors accusing her of concealing embarrassing information for years. The Christie home became a battlefield of wounded sentiments and unsolved questions as voices clashed and tears spilled. Friends and admirers flocked to social media as Jackie's husband tried to comprehend the shock, describing her revelation as courageous at one point and scandalous at another. Rumors abound of secret hospital trips, midnight phone calls, and a desperate cover-up that nearly tore the family apart. Jackie, however, maintains her position despite every contentious dispute and breach of confidence, stating that motherhood has influenced her life in ways that no criticism could ever lessen. When Jackie ventured to change her own tale, relationships broke down, and loyalties were put to the test. The consequences are still being felt today. Reminiscent of the first time she held her newborn boy in her arms, Jackie slid into the soft recliner, her eyes sparkling with a mixture of emotion and defiance. Emotions ran high in the dimly lit living room where framed family photos stared back like silent witnesses to her secret. "I was terrified," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Not because I didn't love him, but because I knew the world would judge me." Nearby, her husband pressed his forehead to the cool window pane, the weight of her revelation pressing on his chest like an invisible anchor. Outside, the rain tapped against the glass in a mournful rhythm, mirroring the turmoil inside in. A hush. Her sister Mariah stepped forward, her fingers clenching the edge of the coffee table. "You never told me," she accused softly, tears pulling in her eyes. "I was supposed to be there for you." Mariah's voice cracked as she recounted how she had screamed into her pillow, feeling betrayed by the woman she had always idolized. Jackie reached out, her hands shaking as she tried to bridge the chasm of secrecy that had grown between them. "I didn't want pity," she explained through quivering lips. "I wanted his first moments to be just ours." Meanwhile, news of the confession rippled through their close-knit circle of friends like a shockwave. Social media buzzed with speculation. Fans were shocked, some calling her rebellious, others labeling her irresponsible. Yet, amid the cacophony, a loyal few sent private messages with words of encouragement. Ela, Jackie's childhood friend, messaged back, "You're braver than you know." Many people may find hope in your narrative, but the cacophony of condemnation seemed louder and overpowered the warmth of the few encouraging voices within the Christie home. Disagreements sprang up like a dry fire. Dolores, Jackie's mother, rushed into the front hall with a faded baptism garment in her hand. With a voice full of hurt and incredulity, she asked, "How could you hide this from your own family?" As Jackie confronted the woman who had taught her poise and strength, her heart raced. Tears welled up in Dolores's eyes as she laid the gown on the entryway table. As daylight broke through the curtains, she whispered, "We could have helped. You," her voice growing softer as the weight of unsaid words weighed thick in the air. Jackie withdrew upstairs to her haven, a little bedroom filled with half-written journal entries and children's drawings. Above the dresser, she sketched the contour of her son's small handprint that was framed. Even though it had been 2 years since that first night, the recollection was still vivid. "He taught me love," Jackie's mind said. "He taught me courage." She wrote a few words in her leather-bound journal, her pen quivering with each stroke, while the soft hum of the ceiling fan surrounded her. She described peaceful lullabies, nocturnal feedings, and the intense protectiveness that had changed her spirit. Downstairs, the conversation shifted to the future. Marcus, Jackie's husband, leaned against the kitchen counter with a frown on, his face worried. Putting his hands around a warm coffee mug, he asked, "How do we move forward?" He felt a mixture of relief, anger, and perplexity as he attempted to make sense of the woman who had carried such a huge secret and the doing mother he knew. Jackie looked up at him, her voice now steady. "We confront it together," she said. For a minute, we just watched the steam spiral into the morning light as his shoulders drooped. I want our family to be honest. No more shadows. But in their story, peace was short-lived. There were rumors of a covert paternity test, generating whispered discussions during breakfasts and birthday celebrations. Jackie was cornered in the garage one afternoon by Darren, her brother-in-law. "You never knew who the father was," he exclaimed in an accusing tone, which I heard. Jackie's heartbeat accelerated. She retorted, "Those rumors are lies," with flashing eyes. The tension crackled like static electricity, and Darren's silence said more than words could. Jackie came to the realization that certain secrets produced shadows that were too lengthy to escape Dot as the wall appeared to shut in. She was rocked to her core when a buddy from her early 20s reappeared in the midst of the mayhem and called. He said, "I have something you need to see," in a quiet, hurried voice. Jackie watched a grainy video on her phone later that evening. A snippet of the birth room, her frightened mutter resonating through the grainy video, alternating like a knife bending in her chest. The friend claimed to have discovered it hidden in an unread email thread titled "Memorable Moments." Her candid confession was now visible to the entire globe as it actually occurred. Jackie's pulse pounded as she managed the consequences, unprotected and unfiltered. Her neighborhood was being circled by news crews. Overhead, drones hum like vultures. Her phone was constantly vibrating with notifications. Some were encouraging, while others were filled with harsh criticism. An anonymous critic once remarked, "Why pretend you're perfect when you have to hide your past?" Jackie was more offended by that than by any accolade. She understood that her boldness in telling the truth had opened her up to the world's harshest criticisms. Jackie asked her close friend Illa over for tea in the garden in one of her rare moments of comfort. They sat in cozy stillness while petals floated onto the brick sidewalk from the rose bushes. The silence was broken by Illa. As she handed Jackie a cup of chamomile, she whispered, "You're making history. Imagine the women who will read your tale and feel less isolated." Jackie closed her eyes and inhaled the fragrant steam, letting the warmth seep into her bones. For the first time in days, she allowed herself to believe that her confession might bring healing rather than pain. Yet even as hope flickered, another twist lurked around the corner. An old acquaintance from Jackie's modeling days resurfaced, claiming to have letters that suggested her child wasn't biologically Marcus. When Jackie confronted her, the woman only smirked, waving a stack of yellowed envelopes. "Care to explain these?" she taunted. Jackie's world tilted. Doubts crept in, threatening the foundation she had fought so hard to build. Was there another secret she didn't even know? The letters remained in limbo, an unanswered question hanging in the stale air of the living room. Dot with her family divided and her marriage trembling on the brink, Jackie found herself at a crossroads. Should she dig into the past to uncover every hidden truth? Or should she focus on the life she had created with Marcus and their son? As the afternoon sun dipped low, she wandered through the nursery, her fingertips brushing the worn wooden crib rail. The quiet hum of the baby monitor was a bittersweet reminder of the innocence she'd once shielded. Tears mixed with determination as she whispered to herself, "I will protect him no matter what it costs." In the fading light, Jackie stood before the vast window that looked out onto the garden. Shadows danced across the floor as the world outside seemed to hold its breath. Her reflection stared back, a woman transformed by love and by the courage to stand in her own truth. Yet the questions lingered. Could forgiveness bridge the chasms of betrayal? Would the world ever see her only as a mother, rather than the scandal that gripped the headlines? And most unsettling of all, what hidden chapter lay waiting in those yellowed letters, poised to rewrite everything she thought she knew? As the night deepened, Jackie lay awake on the edge of her bed. The stack of yellowed letters spread out like a cruel puzzle on her nightstand. Each envelope felt heavy with possibility and dread. She traced the familiar looping handwriting on the topmost letter and realized with a jolt that she had seen it before at her old friend Samantha's house in a dusty box of forgotten keepsakes. The memory sent a chill down her spine. Could Samantha hold the key to this new secret? The next morning, Jackie slipped out before dawn, the sunrise barely gilding the horizon as she drove to Samantha's place. The roads were empty, yet Jackie felt the weight of 1,000 eyes watching her every move. When she arrived, Samantha opened the door, her expression guarded. "Jackie, it's 2 a.m., sending me another text." Samantha yawned, rubbing her eyes. Jackie offered a tight smile. "I need to see those mother rather than the scandal that gripped the headlines. And most unsettling of all, what hidden chapter lay waiting in those yellowed letters, poised to rewrite everything she thought she knew?" As the night deepened, Jackie lay awake on the edge of her bed. The stack of yellowed letters spread out like a cruel puzzle on her nightstand. Each envelope felt heavy with possibility and dread. She traced the familiar looping handwriting on the topmost letter and realized with a jolt that she had seen it before at her old friend Samantha's house in a dusty box of forgotten keepsakes. The memory sent a chill down her spine. Could Samantha hold the key to this new secret? The next morning, Jackie slipped out before dawn, the sunrise barely gilding the horizon as she drove to Samantha's place. The roads were empty, yet Jackie felt the weight of 1,000 eyes watching her every move. When she arrived, Samantha opened the door, her expression guarded. "Jackie, it's 2 a.m. texting me again." Samantha yawned, rubbing her eyes. Jackie offered a tight smile. "I need to see those letters," she said quietly. Samantha hesitated, then nodded, stepping aside. Stepping inside, Samantha led her to a small study lined with filing cabinets. She rifled through drawers until she produced a battered shoebox. "I saved them," Samantha confessed, voice soft. "You never asked, and I didn't want to stir up old ghosts." Jackie's heart pounded as she opened the box, revealing more letters and a faded photograph of a man she didn't recognize standing beside a pregnant Jackie at a beach. The photo sent her breath catching in her throat. "Who is he?" Jackie whispered, her voice trembling. Samantha shook her head. "I don't know," she admitted. "You've never mentioned him. I just found these when I was clearing my attic last year." Jackie's mind raced. Every memory of that summer flooded back. The secret weekend getaway, the hushed late-night calls, the overwhelming terror and joy that had followed. She realized that beneath her polished public persona lay a hidden chapter she had buried so deep even she had almost forgotten. Rushing home, Jackie confronted Marcus in the dim light of their kitchen. "We need to talk," she said, holding the photograph out like evidence. Marcus's eyes widened as he examined the image. "Who is this?" he asked, voice strained. Jackie swallowed. "I don't know," she admitted, "but I'm going to find out." Marcus ran a hand through, his hair, frustration, and worry wearing across his face. "Jackie, please take it easy. You've been through so much." She shook her head, tears brimming. "I can't rest until I know the truth." Within hours, the rumor mill kicked into overdrive. A tabloid blog claimed to have insider info on Jackie's secret lover, naming a well-known entrepreneur as the possible father. Friends texted screenshots. Fans are shocked. One headline screamed, "Could that be him?" Another blogger speculated. Emotions ran high across social media. Armies of commenters debating whether Jackie had been living a lie. Through it all, Jackie found herself torn between fury at the invasion and relief that people might finally stop guessing in a private moment. Ela urged Jackie to slow down. They met at Ila's sun-drenched kitchen, the scent of fresh basil and coffee enveloping them. "You're chasing ghosts," Ila warned, placing a gentle hand on Jackie's arm. "You've already been through so much. Is knowing his name worth the chaos?" Jackie's jaw clenched. "I owe it to my son to know who he is," she declared. Ila sighed, concern etched in her features. "Just be careful," she whispered. Hot Jackie turned detective, hiring a private investigator named Cruz who claimed to specialize in paternity mysteries. Cruz, a wiry man with a perpetual 5-layer shadow, dug through old records, cell phone logs, and email archives. Every lead, however, seemed to dead end until he uncovered a single clue: a hospital record listing a Jacqueline Christie admission 2 years ago. Under a maiden name, no one had ever heard Jacqueline Harrison. The revelation rocked Jackie's world. She had used her mother's maiden name to avoid detection. The investigation took Jackie back to the very hospital where her son was born. She walked the sterile corridors with Cruz by her side, each echoing footstep reverberating in her chest. At admissions, she presented her ID and the records Cruz had found. The attendant frowned, then disappeared into a back office. Minutes later, she returned with a medical file, so thick it threatened to crush Jackie's resolve. Inside was a lab report, a paternity test listing to names Marcus Christie, and someone listed only as unknown male donor. What does that mean? Jackie gasped, tears blurring her vision. Cruz studied the pages. It means there was a second sample tested, he explained. Either you asked for it or someone else did. Jackie's heart pounded. She realized that someone had gone to great lengths to mask the true father. The walls closed in around her as she struggled to catch her breath. News of her hospital visit leaked within hours. Paparazzi photos showed Jackie and Cruz darting out of a side door, their faces tense. The tabloids erupted. Jackie races for answers. One site blared. "Who is the mystery father?" another asked. Fans were shocked by the twist, pouring withering comments onto Jackie's social media pages. The family was left divided all over again. Some rallying to protect her, others whispering that she had orchestrated the whole thing for publicity. Drained and desperate, Jackie turned to the one person she hoped would still stand by her, Dolores. In the quiet of her childhood home, surrounded by faded wallpaper and the scent of cinnamon rolls, Jackie revealed every letter, every record, every fear. Dolores listened, her stoic facade cracking. When Jackie finished, Dolores reached out, clasping her daughter's hands. "We'll find him," she promised, voice wavering. "For you and for your grandson." Jackie's tears fell freely as the two embraced, united in their mission to uncover the final truth. That evening, as the Christie home fell into uneasy silence, Jackie sat in the living room, her son asleep upstairs. The weight of the day pressed down like a lead blanket. She whispered into the empty room, "I won't let you down, baby." Outside, a lone siren wailed in the distance, echoing her turmoil. Somewhere in the city lay the answer. She saw a hand. With it, the final chapter of a story that had already shaken her world to its core. As the clock struck midnight, Jackie knew one thing for certain. The search was far from over. And the next discovery would change everything she thought she knew about love, loyalty, and the family she had fought so hard to protect. The following morning, Jackie awoke to the soft chirping of birds outside her window. But inside her chest, a storm still raged. Dolores had arranged for a meeting with a retired detective named Ramirez, someone she'd known decades ago at church. Ramirez greeted them in a quiet coffee shop, his lined face thoughtful as he opened a worn notebook. "I've handled cases like this," he said, voice low. "Sometimes the simplest clue is the most buried." Jackie's hands trembled around her mug as Ramirez pointed to a newspaper clipping he'd found an announcement from 2 years prior about a charity gala at which a certain Mr. Harrison had donated generously. The name matched her forgotten surname. "We start here," Ramirez explained. "We find Mr. Harrison." Jackie felt a surge of nervous hope. The charity gala had been a blur for her, crowded with social lights and glittering chandeliers. In a forgotten moment, she'd spoken at a podium thanking donors before stepping down into anonymity. Did she shake hands with her son's father? The memory teased the edges of her mind. Over the next hours, Ramirez, Dolores, and Jackie pieced together clues. A photo from the gala program showed a handsome man with neatly combed hair talking to her backstage. Fans had never seen the image, but Ramirez sharpened it, enhancing the grainy pixels. There, he stood tall, confident, with an uncertain smile that mirrored Jackie's own apprehension. Emotions ran high as they stared at the frozen frame, the weight of the revelation pressing on their shoulders. Jackie's phone buzzed relentlessly, with notifications, blog posts speculating she'd staged the detective meeting for drama, videos dubbing her mystery mom. The family was left divided in you, with Mariah forwarding snide comments, and Marcus swallowing his breakfast in uneasy silence. Yet Jackie refused to be deterred. "I need answers," she declared, voice firm. "No more running." That afternoon, Ramirez traced the gala organizer, a socialite named Veronica Lakes. Jackie's pulse pounded as she dialed Veronica's number, anticipation and dread wearing within her. After several rings, Veronica's familiar voice answered, "Jackie, is that you?" The warmth in her tone clashed with the chill in Jackie's gut. "I need your help," Jackie blurted. On the other end, Veronica hesitated before agreeing to meet at her opulent home. When Jackie and Dolores arrived, Veronica led them through a corridor of oil paintings and into a sunlit sitting room. She poured tea as she spoke. "I remember you that night, nerves and all." Jackie's throat tightened. "Do you recall the man at the podium after me?" Veronica's brow furrowed. "You're talking about Nick Harrison. He was a guest of honor." "Nick?" The name hit Jackie like a thunderbolt. He had been a rising tech entrepreneur back then. "Do you have his contact?" Jackie asked, voice barely audible. Veronica nodded. "I'll send you his info. He seems smitten with you, but you were focused on your speech." He left soon after. Tears blurred Jackie's vision. The pieces were falling into place. Nick Harrison might be the father everyone speculated about. Later that evening, Jackie stared at Nick's number on her phone, her thumb hovering above the screen. Marcus watched her from across the room. "You okay?" he asked. Her breath caught. "I'm about to call the man who might be my son's father," she replied. Marcus's face palled. "If you need me, I'll be here." The call connected on the third ring. A calm male voice answered. "Hello." Jackie's heart hammered. "Nick, it's Jackie. Nick Harrison." She forced her voice steady. On the other end, Nick hesitated, then recognition softened his tone. "Jackie, it's been a while. How are you?" Silence stretched between them. Emotions ran high as she chose her words. "I'm okay," she said at last. "I have reason to believe you might be the father of my son." Nick sucked in a breath, the line crackling with tension. "I don't know what to say." Jackie closed her eyes, summoning courage. "I need your truth, Nick. Not rumors, not tests leaked to tabloids." His next words were a whisper I never knew. "I left town right after the gala. I had no idea you were pregnant." Jackie's hand flew to her mouth, "But you donated at the fundraiser. Didn't you see me afterward?" Nick paused. "I was overwhelmed. I left before the after party." The weight of unspoken moments pressed on her. "I'm flying to New York tomorrow," she said, voice trembling. "We need to talk face to face," Nick agreed, and they ended the call. Jackie sank onto the couch, tears slipping down her cheeks. Marcus wrapped an arm around her, steady and reassuring. "You're not alone," he murmured. News of the potential paternity bombshell broke almost instantly. Gossip sites posted previews of her phone call edited with dramatic music. "Fans are shocked," one headline declared. "Could Nick Harrison really be the father?" The comments exploded, emotions running, high and accusations flying. Some accused her of playing games for views. Others cheered her bravery. Through it all, Jackie focused on preparing for the trip. She packed a small bag, pausing to tuck a framed photo of her son into her coat pocket. She refused to let rumors overshadow her mission to hear Nick's side to give her child the clarity he deserved. Dolores offered quiet support, helping her button her coat. "I'll stay here in case you need me," Dolores said. Fans were rooting for her resilience, sending messages of encouragement to her inbox. The next dawn found Jackie at the airport, the first rays of sunlight painting the terminal in soft gold. She stood before the departure board, her reflection, a mixture of determination and vulnerability. She whispered to herself, "Today, I stand for my son." As she walked toward security, the world felt both vast and intimate, a mother seeking truth. Armed only with hope and unyielding love, the journey ahead held more twists, more dramas, and unforeseen revelations. But Jackie was ready to face them all. Jackie stepped off the plane into the cool hum of LaGuardia Airport, clutching her carry-on bag like a lifeline. The city lights glowed through the windows, each one a silent witness to her mission. As she navigated the crowded terminal, her phone buzzed with messages, friends offering prayers, fans wishing her luck, and critics predicting disaster. She ignored them all, focusing on the inevitable meeting that awaited. She had rehearsed, her opening lines over and over, but now her heart pounded so fiercely she wondered if her words would come at all outside the arrivals hall. Nick Harrison stood beneath a flickering lamp, his silhouette familiar even from afar. He wore a simple jacket and jeans, looking both casual and nervous. When their eyes met, an electrical charge seemed to pass between them. Jackie's breath caught. Nick offered a hesitant smile and a tentative wave. She approached, her steps measured, her mind racing. "Nick," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "Thank you for meeting me." Nick's expression softened as he reached out to touch her arm. "I had to," he replied, his voice low with sincerity. "I know this isn't easy for either of us." Jackie nodded, scanning the busy terminal to ensure they weren't overheard. "I need honesty," she said, her tone firm despite the tremor in her chest. "For my son's sake," Nick swallowed, his gaze steady. "You'll have it," he promised. They found a quiet corner near a small cafe and sat at a metal table, the clatter of dishes and murmur of patrons serving as a backdrop. Jackie pulled out the faded photograph of them on the beach, placing it between them. Nick's jaw tightened as he reached for it. "I remember that night," he said slowly. "It was my first charity event. You were radiant." Jackie's eyes stung with tears she refused to shed. "Were you aware of the rumors?" she asked. Nick shook his head. "I only found out after your announcement." The waitress arrived with coffees, and Jackie accepted hers with a grateful nod. She stirred the dark liquid, buying time as she gathered her courage. "My son deserves to know where he comes from," she said, finally meeting Nick's gaze. "I deserve that too." Nick's hand hovered over hers. "I'm scared," he admitted. "Scared of what this means for you, for your family, for us." Jackie's heart ached at the vulnerability in his voice. "I'm scared too," she whispered, "but we owe it to him." As they spoke, Nick revealed details she hadn't expected. He had arranged for a private paternity test months ago, but the lab had refused to process it without her consent. "I tried reaching out," he said, regret lacing every word. Emails bounced, texts went unanswered. Jackie's chest tightened. "I withdrew for a reason," she explained. "I needed time to protect my son from gossip." Nick nodded, understanding, flooding his features. "Huh, I get that now." Their conversation took a sudden turn when Nick pulled a small manila envelope from his pocket. Inside was an official lab report, complete with signatures and a stamped seal. Jackie's breath caught as she read the name Jacqueline Christie above. Her son's name, followed by Nick Harrison, listed as biological father. The truth lay there in black and white. She looked up, voice trembling. "You did this." Nick nodded, relief and nervousness wearing in his eyes. "I wanted to know for you both." Tears slid down Jackie's cheeks, the tension of months melting into a single moment. "I'm relieved," she admitted, her voice faltering. Nick reached across the table and gently wiped her tears. "Me too," he said softly. "But now what?" Jackie swallowed, the weight of their shared responsibility settling on her shoulders. "We figure out how to move forward," she replied, her tone resolute. Outside, the roar of traffic reminded them that reality awaited. Nick stood first, offering Jackie his hand. She took it, rising to her feet as a wave of determination washed over her. "We'll do this together," Nick vowed as they walked toward the exit. Paparazzi flashes erupted like stormy fireworks. Nick shielded Jackie with his body, guiding her through the sea of cameras. She felt exposed, raw, but also strangely empowered. When they reached the curb, Nick hailed a taxi and helped Jackie into the back seat. As the cab pulled away, she pressed her forehead against the cool glass, watching the city blur past. Nick sat beside her, their shoulders touching. "Are you okay?" he asked quietly. Jackie exhaled, steadying herself. "I am," she said, "because I know the truth now." Nick's smile was small but genuine. "That's all I ever wanted for us to know, to stop guessing." In the safety of the moving car, they planned their next steps. How to tell Marcus gently how to introduce Nick to their son, how to face the media storm with one united front. Nick suggested they draft a joint statement, expressing gratitude for the support they'd received and clarifying the truth once and for all. Jackie nodded, imagining the relief of ending the scandal, of replacing rumors with facts. She reached for Nick's hand and squeezed it. "Thank you," she murmured. The cab wound through narrow streets until they arrived at Nick's apartment, a modest loft with large windows overlooking the East River. The city's lights sparkled like jewels, offering a momentary peace. Inside, Nick made them tea while Jackie explored the minimalist space. She found framed photos of Nick's family on a console table, evidence of a life she'd never known. Each photograph deepened her resolve to bridge the gap between past mistakes and future hopes. As they settled on the sofa, tea in hand, Jackie found herself laughing at something Nick's a sound she hadn't heard since before the scandal. The tension in her shoulders eased. Replace predictions. ... This story isn't over. It's only just begun. Subscribe for more in-depth coverage, behind-the-scenes insights, and exclusive interviews that reveal every hidden layer. Like this video if you're rooting for Jackie's courage and resilience. Share it with friends who crave reality TV shocks and scandalous confessions. Leave a comment telling us which moment struck you hardest. Was it the beach photo, a hospital showdown, or the airport reunion? Your engagement breathes life into this saga. Without you, the drama would lose its spark. So, make your voice heard, light up our comment section, and be part of Jackie's journey as she navigates truth, forgiveness, and the unpredictable twists still to come. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next chapter of this sensational tale.